Presenting our first speaker, Dr. Yi Ying. He has deep expertise in healthcare as one of the people at the front line helping and caring for patients. He possesses deep conceptual and hands-on experience in this field. Today, he takes us into the future of healthcare with a bold question, exploring the implications of largely growing relationship between technology with the question, what if patients did not need doctors? Where he will open our minds to the possibilities that may lie ahead in the evolution of the medical field.
So let's welcome him on stage with a big round of applause.
Thanks for the clicker. And okay, this is for back. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ying, and thank you for the introductions. I was asked to talk a little bit about healthcare, so I was suggesting, what if patients no longer need doctors? Is that going to happen? So this is a little bit about me. I was a soldier and a doctor. I was also the Chief Medical Officer of the SCDF, as well as the Ministry of Home Affairs, taking care of the police, the prisons, immigration, the Central Narcotics Bureau. And a little bit later in my career, I started to do work for the Ministry of Health, and eventually for the National Healthcare Group, where I used to run a digital health office and an AI office. Today, I'm actually with the NUS School of Public Health, teaching public health in the AI and public health side of things, as well as disaster relief. So, enough about me. So let's get into our topic proper. So, do any of you recognize this person? Even though it's not in English, but you can probably guess he's Hippocrates, right? So Hippocrates was born in 1460 BC. So nearly 3,000 years from where we are today. We still remember him because of the Hippocratic Oath, which was an oath with 4 pillars, talking about pledging to the pagan deities of Apollo, Asclepius, and the other gods, right, to do your utmost best as a physician. But what was transformative about Hippocrates? It's not just the oath that he created that today many medical schools still swear by, although it's very different what is in the Hippocratic Oath then and today. Because in the oath itself, 3,000 years ago, you're not supposed to charge money for your patients. So that was in the original oath, but not today. You actually do charge patients for care, right? And you're supposed to teach all your students free of charge as well. So that was life 3,000 years ago. But what differentiated Hippocrates and what he did was that he separated fundamentally religion from healthcare. Because in those days, before Hippocrates advocated that disease was a scientific process, people felt that disease was a punishment of the gods, okay? So the gods decreed that you were bad, you were unfaithful, that's why you had the disease. But Hippocrates came up with a theory that, no, this is not true. He collected data, he was the first person to do so, and said that there is a process of disease and it has nothing to do with the gods. So he was the founder of medicine because of that. So fast forward, right, 2,000 years later, before the next epiphany, this was the Renaissance period. You see these detailed drawings of anatomy, and you think back Michelangelo, right, with the Vitruvius Man, as well as many of the Renaissance artists and doctors who started doing what was considered forbidden, dissection. So the detailed pictures of a human, most of this was possible because people started to actually dive into the actual human body. People who died were actually dissected, right, post-mortem. So that was the beginning of modern human anatomy. And it took 2,000 years from the days of Hippocrates for this to happen. After that, it was a much faster period. In the 17th century, Edward Jenner, Robert Koch, with the discovery of bacteria, followed by Alexander Fleming in the early 20th century, which changed the course of World War II. Because penicillin was one of the single most important discoveries. In Second World War, 60–70% of people died because of disease, not wounds, or not actual fighting. People died of diarrheal diseases, wound infection, and everything else. So he single-handedly changed the course of World War II from a medical perspective. And of course, the two men over there with that complicated model is Watson and Crick, who discovered DNA. So this was 1953. So things move, from 2,000 years, after that 300 years, and after that every 100 years, 50 years, things are accelerating. You can sense the pace of life. So after that, from 1953, when DNA was discovered, in the 21st century, we are starting to realize this. The things that we think we know in healthcare, that we think healthcare does, it's only 10% of what determines your health. Where's the rest? 30% is genetics, and a staggering 60% is behavior and environment. So that's really something to think about, right? What I do as a physician only has 10% impact on your health. And the other thing is this, if you think about how information is being accumulated, when we first sequenced the human genome, 2003, it cost over $100 million. Today, if you go to 23andMe or Circle DNA, if any of you still use Facebook, it costs less than $500 for you to actually discover your DNA. So from $100 million to sequence to $500, that's about 200,000 times less, in this short span of time in the 21st century, which is less than 25 years. So you get a sense of how quickly information is accumulating and how much cheaper it is. So now with genetics, now with digital health and the rapid accumulation of information plus AI, we are starting to understand, how people react to different diseases, what dosages are optimal. If you think that 500 or 1 gram of paracetamol works equally for everyone in this room, you'll be bluffing yourself, right? You're all different shapes, you're all different sizes, you're different genders, different weights. Would Panadol work exactly the same for all of you? It's the same for every medication, but medicine is manufactured at scale, right? So it's really hard to give you 800 grams, very hard for me to give you 800 milligrams, 900 milligrams, or 1.2 grams for different sizes of people, right? So everything from even the food that you eat, the type of exercises that benefit you, how your brain works, and how you age. So all of this, right, can actually be individualized. And we start to realize that prevention really is better than cure. And the curing part is really 10%. In 1998, when I graduated, Google was founded. A few years after that, I completed residency, and then we started to see the phenomenon of Dr. Google. Patients that will come with sheets of paper saying, hey, I think I have this. 2022, ChatGPT came about, and it's even more startling the type of things that patients will ask you. Say, I've gone on ChatGPT, I think I have thyrotoxicosis. I have pneumoconiosis. I'm like, whoa, okay. We do not expect patients to ask us that, right? And let me look it up. So, the scary thing is that with AI, today, right, the USMLE, which is the US Medical Licensing Exam, a general ChatGPT engine can answer it better than most medical candidates. I've taken this exam myself quite a few years back. I did not score that well. And it's scary how a general model without specialized training will do that already. And in 2025, it's even better than the results published 2 years ago. So, what's the conclusion for me, In the old days, there was so much information asymmetry, right? The doctor tells you, you do, because the patients don't know very much, right? So I trust you to just tell me what to do. But today, we are shifting to a patient-centric kind of model, right? Where the doctor is more like a health coach, right? You have access to so much information, and you just need someone to guide you along. So I do believe that doctors will, start to shift towards a health coach, a facilitator model, rather than someone who's a paternalistic person telling you what to do. And this whole shift to digital health, right, is enabled by technology, right? Things that measure your glucose all the time, something that can measure all sorts of vital signs, and you have so much information every day. The physician will see you every 3 months or 6 months if you go to a clinic. And how much of yourself would they know compared to you collecting your own data? And there's really a lot of technology out there, right? This was an example, oh, sorry, it didn't quite run, but this was actually supposed to be a little video with, from A-Star. I was using it where a pair of glasses could measure your blood pressure, could measure your pulse rate, your respiratory rate, without any needles, any devices at all. So all of this, right, is being, becoming more and more common, and it will be consumerized at some point of time, where you wear a pair of glasses or your earphones, your AirPods will actually tell you all of this. Finally, we are starting to come to an age where patients are able to self-organize. This is a website from the US called Patients Like Me. 850,000 patients with rare, odd diseases that no one else has seen, right? Where maybe there are 50 of them in the world. So these guys are getting together to organize their own data. They sell it to pharmaceutical companies to get them to create drugs that have never been created before. And that's how personalized medicine will continue to grow and evolve. And I think this is really the way forward. So will patients need doctors? I think to a certain extent, but a lot less. The relationship between doctors and patients will surely evolve very significantly. It will no longer be the doctors telling you what to do, but it's more like a doctor, in a way, as a health coach, guiding you along your own health journey. And what happens to the role of the doctors, right? I think you will see a very, very significant shift. I don't even know what it might be. In 5-10 years, I probably will tell you, or you can see it for yourself. So I hope this gives you some food for thought, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Ng, for opening our eyes to the possibilities and the challenges that lie ahead in the future of the medical field.